Okay, this is going to be a real quick overview of using GarageBand iOS on your iPad or even your iPhone. It's very similar. And we're going to show you how you can easily create some ideas and then bring them over into Logic Pro 10 on your desktop for further tweaking and creating and whatever you want to do to it. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a way to export straight MIDI out of GarageBand. So unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to export MIDI files that you worked on here and then open them in a different DAW. That unfortunately doesn't work. It has to be opened in either Logic on the desktop or GarageBand on the desktop. It's not going to be a super deep dive into GarageBand, but I'll kind of show you some of the important elements that hopefully will get you going if you choose to do this. And let's take a look and see how we can sketch out a song. So I'm going to open GarageBand by tapping it. It's down there on the bottom row of these apps, and it opens up to my GarageBand recents. And this could be different for you depending on if you've ever used GarageBand before or what your settings are. I actually have my settings set for GarageBand to save all of the projects into iCloud Drive. That way I know where they are, I can find them easily and then pull them into Logic very easily as well. Now I could tap on any of these projects to open it up and continue working on them, or I can tap on the plus symbol that's in the upper right corner, that blue plus symbol. I can tap on that to create a new project, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So when I tap on that, we're brought to the instrument chooser where we can choose from tons and tons of instruments. There's a loop library as well too. You've got, this is an amp, and also with this microphone, you can get some accessories that will plug into your iPad that will give you high quality sound for plugging into guitar, and then you can use one of these amp simulators. You can also do the same with a microphone. You can also use the built-in mic on your iPad if you want. I do that a lot if I'm sketching out vocal songs just to get melody ideas and things down. So obviously that wouldn't be, in most cases, wouldn't be useful for the finished product, but again, we're using this as a sketch pad predominantly. This external instruments thing is interesting. You'd think it would be talking about instruments that are external to the iPad, but actually it's talking about instruments, software instruments that are external to GarageBand. So you may get yourself a third-party synthesizer from the App Store, and you can connect it into GarageBand to play it and record it within GarageBand, kind of like rewiring it in. So that's what that external is. Let's start off with Drummer. Why not? Drummer is in Logic too. It's a very cool tool, so you might be familiar with it. Down at the bottom, we've got a few choices. We can do acoustic, electronic, percussion, or more drummers. I'm just going to tap on electronic. Just open that up. And once it gets open here, we'll see that we have Leah as our default electronic drummer. There's her avatar right in the center. This may look familiar to you if you've used Logic. It's like the basic drummer interface here. But before we dive into that, I just want to show you a couple of interface elements of GarageBand, just so you'll know how to get around with this thing if you haven't used it before. In the upper left corner beneath the time, you'll see it says My Songs, and if we tap on that, that takes us back to where we were at the beginning. Now you may notice that the very first song up there is this one we're working on right now, and by default they're named chronologically. So this is My Song 8, and we can change the name of it very easily. I'll do that once we have a song kind of finished here, but I'm going to tap on that to take us back to where we were. Okay, so there we are. Next to My Songs, up in the upper left, just to the right of it, there's that square with two smaller squares flanking it. Looks kind of like a robot head. That is the instrument chooser. I'm going to tap on that. Takes us back to where we were. We could choose, a different instrument if we like here. I'm going to hit the back button in the upper left corner just to take us back to where we were. Just to the right of robot head, there are three horizontal lines that look like tracks with regions on them, and that's exactly what it is, because this is our track view. If I tap on that, here we are in track view, and this is where we'll build our tracks. They'll come, vertically down one by one like this. And you see by default it's an 8-bar loop, and Drummer, since it's not really audio, not really MIDI. It's kind of a hybrid weird thing, whatever you might call it. It has already placed a region on that track for this performance. And so that's why that's there already. And if you notice that what was the track view up at the top next to Robot Head now is different. It's a different icon, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually a small version of a drummer. So that button acts almost like a toggle. You know, right now it's going to show us, when we're in track view, it'll show us how to get back to the instrument of the track that we have selected, in this case, drummer. So I'm going to tap on that and we'll go back to drummer. Eventually. There it is. Okay, and now going straight across the top again, you know, there's the return to start button and a play button. There's a volume button there, and a volume slider to the right of that. And you've got your metronome, which you can turn on and off just by tapping it. There's this is a loops button. You can pull in all kinds of loops that are here, just like there are in GarageBand and Logic on the desktop. I'll tap that loops again to hide that. To the right of that is a wrench, which is settings for the project. If we tap on that, we can control like the metronome and count in. Also tempo, time signature, key signature for the song, some other things. I'm going to tap the wrench again to get rid of it. Okay, so back to Leah. If we tap on Leah, we can choose between a lot of different drummers. You know, on the sidebar there, we've got acoustic drummers. We've got all these guys. Electronic here, percussion. I'm just going to stick with Leah, tap on her just to take her back, just for the heck of it. To the left of Leah, we have presets, and under that is After Hours, which is the current, basically the current pattern that she has right now. If we tap on that, we could change it to a different one here, but I'm just going to keep After Hours for now. Beneath that, of course, is the box that controls the complexity and the loudness. I'm going to tap on the play button in the center at the top right now and show you what that does if you don't know. So we can drag this little ball over and make it more complex and louder. We can keep the complexity and make it softer. We can, you know, make it simple and loud, you know, whatever we want. I'm just going to pull her down, set her right there for now. In the middle, beneath Leah, let's say we don't want those bongos. We can take those out. I don't want a hi-hat. I take that out. Or maybe I want a tambourine instead, you know, or I want them both, you know. Same with the clap and the snare. We can just control what elements she's using in her kit. And beneath that are fills. We can have, you know, slide it for more fills, slide it back for less fills. And finally, in the right column there, you know, you can kind of control the different patterns she may play on each of these sets of instruments here. Okay, I'm going to hit the stop button at the top, and I'm going to return the playhead to the start by tapping that. So that gives us Leah, and she's done. I mean, her thing is there. We could adjust this as much as we want in the song, and you know, for this 8-bar pattern here, but I'm just going to leave it how it is right now. And let's why don't we add, let's say, a bass. Okay, so I'm going to tap the track view in the upper left there next to Robot Head. All right. And here we are in track view again, which we looked at it a minute ago. And if you notice at the bottom left corner, there's a plus symbol there. And if I tap that, it opens this up to the instrument chooser. So here we are. And I'm going to put a bass in, and we have 4 choices down here. We've got smart bass, notes, scales, and more sounds. I'm just going to go for smart bass because I just want to get something down quick here. Okay, so by default, it pulls up the Liverpool bass, which is the right-handed Paul McCartney bass. And if we tap on that, we can choose a different bass. We can choose some electronic ones. We've got some other, you know, electric basses here. We also have an upright bass if we slide over a page. So I don't know. I'm just going to click on, let's go retro bass, whatever. Okay, so here we are in retro bass, and we actually have a couple of filtering controls up there that we didn't have for the Paul McCartney bass. That's okay. We have that. There's fine. If you notice to the right of that, there's an autoplay button. This is where you can have it autoplay some things. We probably don't want that, but just so you can see what it does. You know, different patterns. I'm going to turn that off. Next to that, chords. This is what we're on. So here's like the G. You know, all the strings of the bass. We could tap on notes, and then we've got maybe I should have done this with a regular bass. It would look a little more realistic. It's kind of cool looking, but here we can tap whatever string we want. We can even bend the string, which is cool. I'm going to put it back on chords, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just play through that drum pattern one time and just see if I can find something to play on this real quick. Bear with me. Okay, whatever, that's fine. I'm just going to do something like that. I'm going to hit the record button, which is, of course, at the top and the middle as well. And we're going to get a count in for 4, and then we'll start playing. So let's just see. Okay, so that was really bad, but we're just going through stuff right now. So not only was it not a really great melody or anything, but the timing was off. We can fix that. We can quantize that right now, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to look in the upper left corner, My Songs, then there's Robot Head, then there's Track View, and then there's those 3 faders. Those are the track settings for this particular track. And you see here we've got the track volume, so we can adjust that how we want. We can also pan left or right. We've got mute and solo. We can also add some plugins here, just basic stuff, compressor, treble, and bass there. We could tap this and actually tap on edit and add all different kinds of effects. Not a lot, but a couple. It's more than what you might expect. I'm going to tap on the back button there and go back here. What we wanted to do is get to where it says track settings right beneath retro bass at the top of this column. So I'm going to tap on that, and there's quantization. And I don't know, I'm just going to go straight in 16th notes, and let's just see how that sounds. Oh, that was pretty bad. Maybe let's do it in 8th note. Okay, whatever. So, you get the idea. We can do a bass thing. I'm going to tap on that. They're blue now. Those 3 faders. I'm going to tap on that to close that. Okay. Now I'm going to tap on the track view again, which is next to Robot Head there, just so we can go back to our tracks, and you'll see we've got the bass, the MIDI track for the bass here. So a couple things we can do right now with that. I can tap on it and then tap on it again, and I have a couple of different options here. Cut, obviously, for cutting and pasting, which we can paste it later in the song if we wanted to. Same with copy. We could delete it. We could loop it if we've stretched this out more than 8 bars, which I'll show you in a moment how to do that. We could move the playhead here, let's say, tap, and then say split, and then ding. And once we do that, let's see, now to move the playhead. Well, you'll see we've got it split there. I'm going to undo. You see there's an undo button at the top next to the return to start in the transport there. I'm going to undo a couple times. There we go. So tap it again twice. Edit. We can come in here, and these are our notes. I can pinch this with 2 fingers to make it smaller and stretch it out more. I could move these notes around. I could stretch them, if we wanted. I believe if I tap here too, I can also, delete, cut, copy, whatever. Also work on the velocity. Okay. So you can dive in a little deep in here. It's a little bit awkward, but you can do a lot of things. Now I'm going to tap on Done in the upper right corner just to get out of this window. All right, we're back to where we were here. What else was there? Oh, settings for the track, or the region actually. Here's just controlling the velocity there. It shows our quantization. We can actually speed it up and reverse it. We can do all kinds of things here. So I'm going to tap on Done just to be done with that. And now let's add one more instrument here. So I'm going to hit the plus button in the lower left. And let's go over to keyboard. And for keyboard, Smart Piano. Beneath it you see Smart Piano, Alchemy, Sampler. Sampler's cool. You can record things in and then sample them and twist them and really mess them about. It's great. I'm going to tap on Alchemy Synth because, you know, Alchemy is a great option in Logic to use. I mean, we love the Alchemy Synth, don't we? So by default, you see at the top center there, Epic Cloud Formation is the default patch for this. Okay, I'm going to tap on that and choose something different. And we've got all kinds of choices here, you know, arpeggiated, bass, brass. Let's see, I'm going to mallets. I'm going to just get on leads and let's go to blue laser lead. Okay, then I'm going to tap on done in the upper right there, just to be done with that. Okay. So this is kind of neat. Watch, I'm going to drag across the keyboard and watch what happens. See that? I can also just, you know, tap the keys. Beneath where it says blue laser lead, at the top center there, we also have this little area, which you're probably familiar with, which is so cool. Let's just... Okay, so there's that, and other controls across that little panel there, which you can see, that's kind of neat. The next section down, which says pitch in the middle there, if you look to the left of that, this is for going up an octave. You know, 0 is just right here, I guess. I don't know. That's middle C or whatever. Oh, that's C4, isn't it? Anyway, sustain, you know, like on a keyboard. This guy, I'm not really sure what that does. I think it might be, it looks like it's bouncing around, so I'm not going to worry about that. Pitch, glissando, scroll, let's leave it on pitch. Scale is interesting because we can choose a scale that we want to be limited to. You know, if we want to, if you're like me and your music theory needs to really be enhanced, or you're not real familiar with this, will kind of help you stay in key there. I'm going to turn that off. This keyboard gives us a couple of different keyboard views. We can make the keys fatter, you know, less keys on it, but fatter. Let's tap it again. Go back to where we were. Oops, tap it one more time. You could do the double keyboard if you want to go all Keith Emerson, you know. So you can go different ways here. I'm going to tap the keyboard again to come back and just take it back here. We have an arpeggiator next to that little keyboard here, which we could turn on and say run. And you can control the octave range and the note rate. I'm just going to turn that off for now too. And I'm going to tap it again to remove that little window. Now we have the this last thing is kind of cool. This is it's just like what we had, similar to what we had on the bass. So, you know, we can play in different chords that way. But I'm going to take that off and just go back to the regular keyboard. And again, I have no idea, but for time's sake, I'm just going to hit record at the top, get the count in, and I'm just going to mess about a little bit, okay? Okay, good enough. So hit stop. I'm going to hit play again just to check it out. Okay, so I'm going to hit return to start again, and now I'm going to go back to track view so we can see our tracks here, okay, which is up in the upper left next to robot head. Tapping on that. Here we are now. We've got our 3 tracks. Remember, we can quantize this guy in many different ways. He's the selected track right now, so we can go up to the top and tap on those 3 faders right next to the FX, and you know, we could go in here and quantize it. I'm going to go back. You can also control the volume and pan here. I'm going to tap those 3 blue faders again now to close that window. And another thing you can do, if you look beneath this last track here, there's on this sidebar, there's a little guy right here. You can slide this guy in and out, and this is another way you can control the, you know, the volume of things, and also you have a quick way to mute or solo things. Okay, so we've got 8 bars here. That's fine. But we want to build it out a little bit longer. You know, we could add more things here too if we wanted to. But if we want to build this out to longer than 8 bars, if you look in the upper right corner beneath the question mark that's in the circle, and by the way, that's a great way to get help. It's tooltips here like that, so you can tap on that. Oh, tap it off that way. But there's a plus right beneath that question mark. If I tap on that, this opens up song sections. Right now we only have one section, section A, and it's 8 bars long. We could change that, you know, we could do something different with it, but I'm just going to leave it how it is. What I want to do right now, I could add an empty song section and create a whole, you know, different part of the song, but I'm going to duplicate it for right now. So now you see behind this little sheet we've got 16 bars. Okay, we've got section B is highlighted in this little sheet, that little white drop down sheet. I can tap on section A, it'll highlight that. I can do all sections, that'll show that. Now if I want to just edit section B, I'll tap on section B, and then I'll just tap in a blank area of the main window beneath that to make this little sheet disappear, and it pulls up section B. And we know it's section B too, because if you look at the playhead that's right there at the beginning of bar 9, I can just drag that out of the way, and you see there's a B right beneath the number 9, so we know we're in the B section. But let's do this. Let's go back to get the full view. I'm going to tap on that plus again that's in the right corner. All right, and I'm going to tap on all sections, and then I'm going to tap just in a blank area of the main window to give this to us here. Okay, now what we can do, maybe we don't want this guy. I'm tapping on the region of the synthesizer lead track. I tapped on that to highlight it. Well, a couple things we can do that while it's highlighted. You notice it's got some grabber handles here, so you know we can do this. We could also, you know, if we wanted to get rid of this one, I'll double tap it and I'll say delete. And then I could tap this one, double tap it, and say loop, loops it out. You know, I'm going to hit the undo arrow at the top there, just to undo those two things we did. But let's say we don't want this appearing in the first 8 bars or whatever. Or maybe we want it to come in at the beginning of bar 5. I can just drag this here to shorten it, and then I can just tap and drag it to move it around like this. You know, maybe we don't want the bass in this part just yet. You know, we could double tap it and we could delete it. We could also split it by dragging the playhead where we might want it, double tapping split. You know, that can do that. But anyway, so this is how you can build out your song. We've built it up to 16 bars. We could, you know, also we could go in here. Let's say we're tapping this second section of the bass, give it a double tap and edit it, and maybe we want to move some of these notes around, you know, to, you know, just make it different in that section. We can always do that. I'm going to hit done just to get rid of that. Again, this is just showing you ideas of how you can build things in here. Okay, so let me see. I think that might be it. Let me see, think if I missed anything. No, I think that's kind of got it for basically building a song. Hopefully that makes sense to you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to tap on My Songs in the upper left, taking us back here to where we started, and you see this is My Song 8 is what it's called. I'm going to, oops, my bad. I tapped it. I'm going to tap My Songs again. What I need to do is I need to, once it finishes loading into iCloud, I'm going to tap and hold on it. And then I have the option to copy it, duplicate it, rename it, move it, delete it, you know, share it. I can put tags on it, you know, different kinds of info. I'm just going to rename it, and we're just going to call it Mastermind Test. All right, done. Okay, so there it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to Logic on the computer, and I'm going to show you how you can open this up in Logic and change the instruments, tweak it around. It's basically like a fresh session there. It's awesome. So bear with me and we'll take care of that. Okay, so here we are on the desktop computer, and we're going to take that GarageBand project and open it up in Logic Pro 10. So I'm selected iCloud Drive here in this Finder window, and I'm going to come down here to GarageBand for iOS. I've got a few things in here, but there's our Mastermind test that we made just a few minutes ago. I could double click it and open it up in GarageBand since I do have GarageBand on this computer, but I'm going to take it and just drag it onto the dock here and drop it on top of Logic Pro 10 like that. Just boom. It's going to ask us where we want to save it and what we want to call it. we're going to keep the name Mastermind Test, and just for right now, I'm going to keep it on the main drive in this default Logic folder. Normally, I'd put that over here to the left. There we go, in one of these external drives. But for now, we'll click Save, and it'll load up our project. And there it is. It's just like what we had in GarageBand. And, you know, you can play it. Okay. Now we can come in here and we can say, well, let's change Leah. We don't want this drummer anymore. For instance, I'm going to tap Y on the keyboard, key command to open up the library here. And here's Leah and other drummers here for electronic. You know, well, let's try Jasper. And it warns us, you know, to replace some changes you made. That's fine, because we've been sketching this out. Now we're going to try to flesh out an actual song. So let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, okay, so Jasper's pretty cool. You can hear that the drum is definitely different. So we could change this bass too. So let's go, you know, let's see, well, why don't we go to, let's get a synth bass or something here. Oh, the mighty synth bass. So let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, you know, might not work. But anyway, the point is that you've got all your Logic Pro capabilities now where you can finish this song and do whatever you want to it, just as though these regions were recorded right here on the desktop in Logic. So there you go. I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how you can sketch out some songs on your iPad when you're on the go or just chilling, just to kind of constantly keep thinking about the music and still be productive even when you're not sitting enslaved to your computer all day long. All right. Thanks a lot.